Hello and welcome to Film Content Central. This is Arvind, and I'm going to be doing a quick review of one of my favorite books and the new Netflix series, 100 Years of Solitude, that recently released last week in the Spanish language with subtitles in English and many other languages available. The book itself is also called the same, 100 Years of Solitude, by Colombian author and Nobel Prize for Literature winner Gabriel Garcia Marquez. 100 Years of Solitude was released in the 1960s in the original Spanish language, and it was only later that it was translated in English and many other languages and made available to avid book readers all over the world. Through the book, many readers and many enthusiasts over the world discovered Garcia Marquez, and they also discovered a new writing style called as magical realism. Now, as a writer myself, I also read this book nearly 15 years back, and I find that this style and Garcia Marquez's writings have greatly influenced the way I write and the way I perceive things as well. What is magical realism? Now, magical realism is, in simple words, the technique and the art of writing about magical and wondrous and otherworldly things as if they are a part of everyday life. Girls and women who levitate, babies who have visions, a woman who simply rises up into the sky and disappears, a child who's surrounded by butterflies. Now, all this may sound magical and wondrous and different, but the way of infusing this into the writing as if they are just everyday occurrences in the world that you're creating as a writer is what magical realism is all about. And this is something that Garcia Marquez not only pioneered, but also is a master at. The book itself sprawls seven generations of the Bundia family. Its patriarch, Os Arcadio Bundia, leaves his village along with his wife, Ursula Aguirre, in search of a utopian town. Now, at the beginning of the book and the series itself, these two leave their village and they are in search of this utopian town. And the reason for this is again rooted in magical realism. It is because both of them are haunted by the ghost of Prudencio, who Os Arcadio Bundia kills at the beginning of the book. Now, the ghost itself, both in the book and the series, appears as if he's really there in the town, in the village, in their room, haunting the lead characters, because of which they leave the town. It is because of constructs like this that many said that this book was unfilmable. Garcia Marquez himself never wanted this book to be converted into a series. He said that nearly 100 hours would be required to translate his 100 years onto the screen. It is only after his passing that his sons have given the sign off for this 16-part episodic series on Netflix. What many said was unfilmable, and what I myself, also as a big fan of the book, was fearing that the series wouldn't really do justice to the book. All those fears have been unfounded. The series is fantastic. I went into watching this with a lot of apprehension whether all these characters that I really care about and that live in my head and that the journeys that I have really read about and imagined them in my own imagination, would a visual medium of a series or film really do justice to this poetic and really different style of writing? But all said and done, I feel the Netflix series is really, really well done. It does a great job of building this world of Mokondo that Garcia Marquez creates at the beginning of the book. It is all about a lot of magical elements coming in with a lot of history and a lot of political context and a lot of history of Colombia itself, including the Civil War, the founding of the church, the coming of the railroad, etc., etc. All this is covered by telling the story of seven generations of the Bundia family. It may get confusing to a lot of viewers, like it did for a lot of readers, because all these seven generations are named the same in the book as well as in the series. All of them are either Jose Arcadio or they are Aureliano, and seven generations of their children and their children uh, go through the same cyclic processes of, maybe it's a cosmic process, or what may also be called as karma, or other things, you may call it whatever you want. But the book's themes and larger scheme of things really talk about a lot of things deeper than what you really read or see on the surface. Each generation of the Vindhya family goes through similar ups and downs. They seem to be cursed with the same happenings over and over again. And like the title of the book says, a big sense of solitude and foreboding and sadness and melancholy really sits over the book and the series as well as the story progresses. But that doesn't mean that it's all sad or it's all about loneliness, etc. There's a lot of fun and a lot of colorful imagery that Garcia Marquez brings into the book and as the series as well. There's a group of magicians and gypsies led by the charming and enigmatic Melquades, who becomes Ozarkadio Bundia's best friend over a period of time. And as the story progresses, as does the charm of all of these happenings and beautiful moments that are described in the book, the beautiful relationships between the characters, the complicated relationships between them. There's a lot of incest and a lot of uh, complicated relationships that are described in the book. A lot of the reasoning is really based on just character motivations, and it is just based on uh, the idiosyncrasies of many characters that Garcia Marquez writes about. Um, Now, the series covers nearly one third of the book. It covers the first three generations. It follows Oza Arcadio Bundia and Ursula Eguerin, the two main lead characters, and their sons, again named Oza Arcadio and Aureliano. It follows them and their interactions and the relationships that they have and the motivations that really drives them as the book progresses. And the series does a fantastic job of visualizing different moments. Take for example the eighth episode of the series, where which itself is titled "And So Many Flowers Fell from the Sky." It comes at a very important part in the story where the sky really opens up and beautiful yellow flowers start raining all over Mokondo. And this goes on all over the night, so much so that the city street really have to be cleared of those flowers to let something happen. Now, again, this sounds like an impossibility, but you should read the book and watch the series to see how beautifully this is realized. The series casting is really on point. All the actors do a fantastic job, especially the lead characters. Uh, the series also does a great job of keeping the magical realism as magical and as real as possible by really not letting us viewers pay attention to it. That is the driving uh, force of how to write magic realism or how to realize it now on screen. It's really not to draw attention of the viewer towards that incident. It's all about letting that happen as if it's just a part of that world. And the more you read or the more you watch, the more you find yourself getting drawn into these characters, their worlds. One of the things I'd really like to highlight about the series is the use of the background score. It is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. It is wonderfully done. I feel 50% of the job really is achieved by the background score. All the ancient and the really old style instruments, whether it is the percussions or the strings that I used, that really add a flavor of magic to the proceedings. The series ends on a cliffhanger once again, and it is going to be one more year before another 8 episodes come out. But I strongly suggest that you watch this series on Netflix. Watch it in the original Spanish language to really enjoy the essence of the novel and the series, and watch it in one go. If you want to take my recommendation, binge watch it. It's really perfect for that, and you wouldn't really be able to resist waiting for the next 8 episodes to come out. So here's wishing that the next 8 episodes to come out next year stay as good in quality as these first 8 were. And here's hoping that many such novels get turned into the visual medium, as long as it is done with respect like this and done with this level of quality. It's great for even us avid book readers and writers like me to watch these magnificent stories and novels come to life. Do share what you felt about the series, the book in the comments. Reach out to me if you want to have a greater discussion on many aspects in this novel.